Aloha friends and family, this is Parker Paredes with Wizard Hawaii, and in partnership with Miley Girl Productions, we're here in Kalihi again, once more for our Black Belt series. We're at Uptown Jiu-Jitsu, and our last episode we interviewed Shane Agena, but tonight we have the honor of being here with Kimmie Agena, his wife. Kimmie, how you doing?
Good.
Right on, Kimmie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So Kimmie, thank you for inviting us to the dojo again.
Thank you.
Tell us, women in Jiu-Jitsu, you're a Black Belt. This is the Black Belt series. It's been a long, good career for you. You're a competitor, you're a teacher, you're impacting the community. Tell me about your Jiu-Jitsu journey. How did it start?
I guess I always loved martial arts, like all different things, like growing up watching Kung Fu and stuff like that. Someone got me into Wing Chun,
Okay.
and then I just started taking that. And then he also ended up being a black belt for Home Low.
Okay.
So he was saying, hey, you like Wing Chun, I think you would like this other thing that I do. And I was like, okay. And so he kind of introduced me to Jiu-Jitsu. And I don't know, I was a avid Bikram practitioner.
Okay.
And I did it 7 days a week.
Wow.
And this is the one thing where I thought, like, okay, this is even better than Bikram.
Wow.
You know, I just love that whole full body, but it was like a mental thing, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, so I like pushing my limits, you know, physically and mentally. So it was so addictive.
Kimmie, a lot of people talk about the bug, the addiction, like when they're on the mat. Tell me, was it instant for you, or is it something that kind of developed over time, or as soon as you rolled, as soon as you went live for that first time, you knew, okay, this is what I want to do?
The first time I tried it, I was so uncoordinated. I didn't, you know, just being a girl, that close proximity, it's unnerving, you know, like I don't know, it wasn't the most comfortable, like something like you would just be acclimated to.
Sure.
I didn't do wrestling. There wasn't girls wrestling back then, so I had no idea what grappling was. And then, so I was really uncoordinated, so it wasn't that fun. So I kind of took off a couple years, and I got a divorce, and I thought, you know, I want to do something for me. And I said, you know, I'm going to go back to Jiu-Jitsu.
Sure.
And I went, took some classes, and for some reason, the second time around, it just hit me like, oh, I love this, you know, just like not thinking about anything else except for right now, this person in front of me, and everything else faded away. It was so addictive. After that,
it's like therapy.
The bug, yeah.
Kimmie, funny you mentioned that, because you hear a lot of people talk about like the different reasons why people are training, and a lot of us are training to get. Seldom in our life do we have opportunities to clear our mind completely of our work, of our obligations, of who we are outside of jiu-jitsu or outside of training, and training on the mat gives us that opportunity to be in the moment, 100%.
There's nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You're surviving. You're just trying to survive.
Exactly.
Right now, right here.
The static might be going crazy off the mat, but as soon as you slap and bump, you're going live, and it's kind of clear.
Oh, and that feeling, I think, that feeling after, just that pure, I don't know, like I'm alive, like I don't know.
Invigorating, exactly.
It was that high that every day, that's why I come back, no matter how tired or stressed out or all the 100 things I've got to do. Like, it's the one time where I can fade out everything else and be here and do something for myself that I love.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Kimmie, tell me, in your journey in jiu-jitsu, when did you know that you wanted to become an instructor? When did you sort of feel like, okay, black belt is part of my journey and I'm eventually going to be teaching?
None of it.
It just happened.
It just happened. I love kids, and I guess like teaching kids have always been something I just gravitate to. Like, you know, I used to junior lead, and then people would always want me to like babysit. I just love it. So when Shane was at O2 and I first met him, I would watch him teach his class, and he asked, you know what, it was sometimes it would just be him, and he's like, can you help me? And I was like, oh my God, I would love to. I love the kids. And I mean, it was amazing. Like, you know, the kids that come in, they're like sponges. Yeah. And just, they're so much more easily, like, there's no worried about what I look like.
Sure.
You know, and
there's honesty to that.
Yes, and then so they trust you and they do the move, and it just watching them absorb that and being able to replicate that during live rolling, it's like so gratifying,
Sure.
And then we got to watch the kids like prep them for competing and seeing them do well on the mats, and then all of that, like, you see that transformation when they come in, they're all shy
Sure.
and they're quiet, and then all of a sudden, like 6 months later, they're like, you gotta tell them to be quiet and settle down. They totally,
they're fired up.
Yeah, the mom and dad are like, oh my gosh, we totally see a whole nother side of them, and it reflects on other parts of their life.
In thinking about that, Kimmie, and think about developing children or bringing out something that's already in them, do you think a lot of these children have greatness already in them and you guys are just helping polish it and bring it out? Or do you think martial arts is a critical thing that helps build a part of their book,
oh my
their
gosh.
chapter?
I think like in our all of our journeys, like starting off just teaching for other people's schools and stuff, and then like seeing all the different levels. Like some kids are just athletic, they're just athletic, you just give them a couple of tools and they take off and they thrive. And then there's other kids who have learning disabilities, and their mom and dad are really like sheltering them and trying to protect them, but this is the perfect thing. It's a controlled, safe environment where you give them tools to, I guess, give them self-confidence, how to interact and socialize with other kids, learn how to persevere in tough situations. It's just life-changing, not just for kids, adults too,
Yeah. You talk about competition. Can you preparing your children or your kids, your students for competition? But let's talk a little bit about you as a competitor. You're a purple belt world champion. Tell me about that.
I love it. I love the grind of it, the preparation of it. I love like training as a team and that whole blood, sweat, tears, as a team, you're like pushing each other to be better. And I love that all of us are dieting, all of us are cutting weight, all of us are training multiple times a week, trying to better ourselves. I kind of like that grind. And then the fun part, or the dessert of everything, is like actually going out there and
winning.
I just try to do my best. Actually, to be honest, like everybody's like, oh, like you just want to go out there and improve yourself and this and that. And you want to know something? What really motivates me is because I train as a team. I just don't want to let anyone down.
Exactly.
That pressure and stuff. Like people are like, like you're just so confident. I go, no, it's being confident is more. It's just I'm confident that I did all the work to get here. And then the fear that kind of pushes me the day of is I don't want to let my team down. They helped me get here, and
100%.
I want them to be proud, and I want to make them proud, basically. So
that's amazing that you talk about that, Kimmie, because when you talk to competitors, a lot of people talk about the responsibility that they have to their team, to their support system around them, who a lot of times made similar sacrifices on the way up, but they're not the ones, for whatever reason, are on the mat competing.
So like a lot of times I played basketball and I did like these team sports, and they're like, oh, jiu-jitsu is so different because it's like a one-man show, and it's not. It's like a team sport. 100%. And you kind of you can't do this alone. And then like the other person that I didn't want to like let down the most is Shane.
Your husband.
Because it's like in a household, it's really tough to have a career, a child, and a school, and have two people training to compete. So he always, when I wanted to compete, he sacrificed his training time to compete, and he let me compete instead. It's kind of like a sacrifice, so because I'm too tired to do a lot of the household stuff, and he picks up that slack. Like people don't see that all the time, right? They don't realize the behind scenes sacrifices and efforts that your partner or spouse has.
When you look at your journey together as a married couple, both black belts, both working, teaching jiu-jitsu,
hard.
Is it hard now, and are you guys still making sacrifices to be here?
Yeah, because Arya has volleyball.
She's
got to be practiced and picking her up, and we like literally like jump in a pose sometimes. Who gets to stay and train and roll, and who gets to go drive and pick her up and come back? Because it has to be. So we're pretty good. We kind of balance it out. I don't know. It's kind of hard, you know. It's still hard. It's just sacrifice, balancing, you know, give and take with any relationship. Yeah. But it took us a long time to figure out this balance, though. Yeah. We've been together like 16 years, 17 years. I can't even remember.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
But it was hard. Like, people always ask us, like, what's it like to train? It must be so awesome to have you and your husband train on the mat all the time. And no, but it's hard.
I bet, yeah, because whatever, as we know, marriage in itself, a relationship, living with somebody, I mean, these things are not always perfect. And I can imagine that
and it bleeds sometime onto the mat.
Exactly.
Now it's not so much. Maybe like in our earlier years, that's where it was a struggle. It was like wearing different hats. Because then I started out and I was a blue belt kind of thing, and he's my instructor, and then having to have that, like, him telling you what to do, and you're like, I don't know, I think it might be better, and he'll just look at me like, what belt are you wearing? What belt am I wearing? And then I'd be like, but it took years, like that dynamics of it, it's really hard. Like, you know, I had to check my ego and be like, we are not equals right now on the mat. Like, no matter what you say, like, we're on the mat, he's my instructor. And I had to learn humility and figure out like what roles we play when we're here. Because
there is hierarchy on the mat. He's your instructor, he's a black belt.
It is.
Even though you are equal in that game of life, marriage, off the mat.
Maybe, yeah, off the mat, yes. And I had to remember, when you walk in the door and we step on the mat, we have different roles, and it took a while to like learn that dynamics and accepting it, but I actually learned real quick because he's pretty old school, and if you're not going to listen to him, then he's not going to put too much effort. So I always used to tease people and be like, you know, I didn't learn my first Agena move until after 2 years of training with him, because I needed to check myself. And when I was finally ready to be an accepting student, he was ready to teach me, and it's kind of, you know, it was a good learning experience and testament to humility and this whole system.
100%. Kimmie, I think a lot of our viewers at home, a lot of people watching, I know myself, I can speak for myself, that I think we value that old school, in that learn to be a student, you know, humility, your time will come, and a lot of that is the reason why we're here doing the Black Belt series. We want to get a holistic view from you, Shane, on what your journey was like. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Kimmie, last question for us tonight. Being a woman in Jiu-Jitsu in Hawaii, quickly tell me about that. The early days up until now, women's wrestling, women's grappling is taking off. We're seeing tons of women now, but that wasn't the case in the early days when you first started. Tell me about it.
Just like a lot of females who's been around, they're probably the only female in their gym, and it's tough. It's really tough, and you're rolling with men. And I was fortunate enough to be in a school where the guys weren't going easy, because that's the most sad thing, is when a guy just rolls with you like you're a baby or something 100%. Like that. You know, it's, you know, kind of patronizing kind of thing. But everybody I've ever experienced in our school has been more than helpful, roll to my level, my weight, you know, and has always helped me to push me to be better. And I love it, you know. I mean, it's I wish there was wrestling back then, but there wasn't. I wasn't experienced to all of that. But so, like, watching a lot of the girls that we taught when, you know, we were starting out, and they were like 5, 6 years old, and now they're world champs, and they're wrestling champions in college now. It just gives me so much happiness and pride, and it just, I don't know, you know, I'm so happy to see growth, and then to even just have even a
small part in that.
Little small part of that, it just makes me feel so good to see how far they've gone, you know.
Right on, Kimmie. Well, thank you for your time tonight. And our friends and family at home, if you're in the Kalihi area or Nu'uanu, make sure you check out Shane Agena and Kimmie here in Uptown Jiu-Jitsu. You guys have a good night. Aloha.